things, but guys that just seem to understand, appreciate, and have an agreement with the equipment to make it work. So, we got Colin Gage here in the room today, and we got Bill Spohn remotely in Akron, Ohio. And Ben's going to have a discussion with you.
Ask some hard questions.
Can I get some?
All right. Oh, Colin's already running away.
He said not running, he literally did.
Okay, Bill.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hold on. I got you muted. Again. So earlier today when we tried this out, I realized that I had my, that we tried to remember to figure out what was wrong with the sound, and I realized that I had the him muted, and I learned from that mistake. Go ahead, Bill.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Somebody's
You
got
look fantastic, Bill.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think it was Ben's voice.
Yeah, that is, can you move this one up for me a little bit? So I don't like squish. Cool. Bill, I know a lot of personal things about you, and I'm going to try to milk some of those out of you and then get them in front of here so that we can all have a good laugh. But I think did they just mute me?
No.
You can hear me. Yeah, you can't mute me. Why don't you tell us a bit about who you are, what you do currently, and then we'll roll on from there. And I think Colin will probably be in by that time.
Okay, who I am. I'm the majority owner and president of TruTech Tools. What I do varies on a minute-by-minute basis. But mainly I do the marketing for the company, set the strategic direction. I have a business partner, Eric Preston, who handles sort of the day-to-day operations of things. What we do as TruTech is we try to provide the best tools and equipment for our customers who are pretty much split between building performance and HVAC, 50-50. And we see a lot of crossover between those customers and the equipment they use, and we like to encourage them to work together to help build the home performance industry. So that's part of my big interest in working with Chris and the team there at Habitat X. So we cover about 50 different lines of products, things like you'd be familiar with, like blower doors, duct testers, thermal imagers, combustion analyzers, and we try to put all these products in the context of using them correctly, picking them correctly. So we do a lot of webinars. We have a lot of webinars that almost all of them have BPI CEUs attached to them. I see Tiger and Larry in the front row there, almost the front row maybe. So we work with them to get our webinar CEU qualified, and we keep on trying to spread the good word about doing good testing with good equipment, and just try to help build the industries for the sake of our country's energy efficiency. Really, that's sort of my personal mission on it. I foresaw this maybe 25 years ago that I wanted to do something about energy efficiency, and I think I found my home.
Okay, so 25 years ago, how'd you get your start?
I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and went to work for Kodak Company for 5 years, got exposure to a big company, worked for, and then a couple of jobs later, worked for Bacharach for 10 years, more of a medium-sized company, and really kind of fell in love with the HVAC and the energy efficiency markets there. That time really was weatherization, as we know it, back in the late 80s and early 90s. And then moved to Testo for 10 years and helped them grow in these markets, doing product management. Bacharach was design engineering, so just kind of a mix of things, but always staying sort of on the technical side of things and working with good people on the sales and marketing side.
Cool. Well, I'm going to give Colin a chance to answer the same question. Now, I understand you got your start in high fashion men's unitards. Is that correct?
So yes, you contacted Retrotec. You didn't get that from me, okay?
This was your first venture into the world.
Well, I wanted to build a boat sail to Europe, but I didn't want to fly to Europe like everyone else. So this friend of mine in Ottawa that was taking his master's degree and so on, he said, Colin, the fastest way to make money is in the fashion industry. So he and I linked up, and we were actually at a company called the Cream Jean Company.
That is a terrible name.
I bunch of money and sailed around my boat for a couple of years, and then thought, I want to do something socially significant. So in 1980, I met Brendan Reed, who some of you might possibly know, and Sebastian Moffat, who's probably one of the most brilliant building scientists ever. And they had already started a kind of a foundering blower door company using RPM and pressure drop to measure flow. And they brought me on, and I worked at the National Research Council and came up with the first blower door in the moment, well, of that particular style. And then after it was all done, I would say, well, this is stupid because RPM is a dumb way to measure flow. We should just use pressure drop, and I created a pressure drop blower door for them. And after working for them for nothing for a year, they gave me the gift of being a partner. I thought, wow, whoopee. So that's kind of how we got the story.
Great, great. So, inventing actual products. Bill, same question. Have you invented anything, and how many of those things have you invented?
I participated in the design for a lot of different products, a lot of different inputs, and still do so today. Actually, we work with a lot of manufacturers and share ideas freely because we are sort of the nexus where customers come together. I do have 3 U.S. patents on some combustion test equipment, and one of them is for a breath analysis device to be able to detect the carbon monoxide someone exhales and get and ascertain if they've had some carbon monoxide poisoning. And we seem to have locked up.
our own sales staff will go out there to sell jobs. We brought contractors in from all over to say, hey, this is the new air quality model. They were interesting enough just talking about at this conference the new model of treating asthma, which I think is a good idea. Allergies, I agree, not so much, but a little longer than you had maybe bargained for. But
Yeah.
this is my reveal.
No, reveal it. Yeah, I think everybody's interested in knowing what you guys are about. I mean, you're these kind of geniuses that are sitting behind all these crazy pieces of equipment, and we want to know a little bit about you. Jay, do we have Bill back?
No, stall.
Oh,
Question.
yeah, no.
Do you know if the Attorney General's still around, and does he have a radon system in his house?
I have paid no attention to it whatsoever. Ever since that, I've just like flushed it down the toilet. Another part of my life. You know, there's no reason to go back there, and I just don't want to kind of relive that. You know, it's like being in this dark hole and just see yourself slipping lower and lower and lower, and you're wondering like where the hell's the bottom. So no, I don't want to go back there.
Fair enough. Like Duke and I, where's Duke at? You leave already? He's left. Yeah, we've had that same conversation, and both agreed. You just let it live in another place and move on. Bill, are you there?
I'm back.
All right. So I don't know how much of that you were able to hear. None of it? Oh,
None of it.
Thanks to Jay's lack of technological know-how, you heard absolutely nothing. But let me well, I won't recap everything that Colin said, but there was a theme in there that has been running through this conference, and that was the connection between the health of the individual and what we're doing in the home performance industry. So if I could just ask you that broad question, what are your thoughts on that, and how are you addressing it with your company and kind of promoting that aspect of home performance?
I think it's spot on. I think indoor air quality is the new frontier for home performance. Probably stealing that line from Larry Zarker because he said it to me last September, I think. But I think it's absolutely spot on. We're looking at some different types of air filters, air treatment, air cleaning, particulate measurements, and it's just it's controlling the conditioned airflow through nasty spaces. Usually, if there's duct leakage on return, you're going to pick up some crap, and that's going to put it into the living space. And I think people spend a lot of time in an indoor environment, and we just subject them all kinds of things they shouldn't be subjected to. So I think it's health, comfort, and energy might be my prioritization now, and it's changed over time.
Okay, Bill, tough question for you. You recently moved out of a house and into a new one. What did you leave in your old house that you knew was going to be of poor quality for the new owner?
Which is family.
Yeah. What's that?
Which is his family.
Which is your family. I haven't followed you close enough on Facebook to remember that part. Sorry.
What did I leave that was of poor quality? I just did an energy upgrade not even a year before, and actually installed a larger filter system. Really, I think I'd pretty much caught up. If you'd asked me a year before, I would have said I hate the way the house performs. The envelope sucked, and there's a lot of air leakage. But I think I did take care of it, so I left it in pretty good hands. But I was very reluctant to leave it, but left it in good hands.
You gave me
Left
nothing.
it in good state.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all interested a little bit in your early days with Bacharach. Do you want to talk about what it was like developing some of those things in the lab and what was sort of driving what you were doing at the time?
Back in those days, I think the most interesting, the first project that kind of turned over to me was something called the Monoxer 2. And some of you might be familiar with that because I think there are probably 30,000 units sold over the course of a decade or more. And that was my project that was handed to me. What I found out very quickly was these things can get very complex, and you want to make sure you're delivering something of high integrity. So my project estimate was about 1/3 what it actually cost to develop the product, and it took well over twice as long as I estimated to develop the product. I'm sure Colin could echo some of those kind of things. You just never anticipate stuff that's going to happen. So you just got to build in long schedules, lots of testing, lots of user feedback. So we did a lot of testing and got a lot of user feedback, and I think the smarter companies like Retrotec are doing it these days. You know, getting that kind of user feedback right along the way through product development.
So, Colin, not the most expensive product you've developed, but the most over budget product. What's taken the longest, thrown the most monkey wrenches in the cogs?
Taking the longest is probably our software, which is now going through. It was called Energy 2001 in 2001, our first Windows product. And then it came out as Doorfan 3, which we worked on for 6 years and then flushed the whole thing. So started over with Fantastic, and I think we probably have, I would say we have almost 2 million to it. And I think that sales of it is maybe, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000. I think if I live to be 200, I might get it back.
Yeah.
And people keep going, oh, why don't you do this? Oh, why don't you do this? It is unbelievable how much money you can throw into a black hole of software development. But now we have a woman that works for us that had her own software development company, and a guy who ran a 20-person software development team at Microsoft. And we've got a couple of other people who are just brilliant software people. We have 4 people on staff to sell a package that we can't actually get any money for. So I would say that was the one that's the most over budget and will probably, stay that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, you mentioned sales. What is your sales focus right now? What market are you trying to hit with your products? Are you trying to change that market?
Well, what I've concluded is we have a relatively small market. We can't really invest a lot of money into developing a market where we're going to sell 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 or so. So our new Model 300, for example, which is a blower, has a really diverse market. In France, we're selling it to test ducts, to test houses. It'll go down to just over 1,000th of a CFM. It'll realistically read 100th of a CFM pretty well. It also goes up to 800. It'll run on batteries. It'll run on 110, 220. It doesn't matter. You can put anything in it you want. It's relatively light. I think we can put a flow pump on it and have it turned into a power flow bit. We have a commercial unit that will go up to 20 inches of water column. I don't know if any of you were here when I turned it on. It runs at 30,000 RPM versus a normal duct tester for testing houses, which runs at 3,000 RPM. So the same technology that we use for measuring flow, which I'm going to reveal to everybody tomorrow, which is a really cool thing, has a really wide range of applications. And I'm thinking, if we can measure flows that low, we can actually measure the leakage of a pinhole. So, we could take a computer case and measure the leakage of it. We could take components in a building. Take the door lock and measure the leakage of it, for these passive house maniacs. There's all kinds of things that we could do with it. We could stick it on a light switch and we could measure how much flow is coming through that light switch. Like, I don't know where that could possibly go. So that's on the one end of the spectrum. So we've taken one product and we're using it in a whole lot of really, really diverse ways, and hopes in doing that we're able to provide an exceptional quality product in a variety of markets, none of which would probably justify the development expense.
And actively looking for those markets, or just developing the technology and hoping that somebody realizes, oh, it can measure a pinhole in a computer case. I'm a computer manufacturer, maybe I should go see these guys. How?
Well, what tends to happen is when technology is developed, people find ways of using it that you can't really imagine. Like, yes, we know about residential duct testing small houses, and testing commercial ducts. That's given. So knowing that, we've got the thing already, what else can we apply it to? So we're just starting now to find applications that could be in totally unrelated industries that we can apply that to.
So, Bill, we know you're a technological wizard as well, and I think both of you guys are, what do we got going on? What's wrong? Or is that your wizard symbol?
That was my wizard symbol.
Perfect. You are a wizard, and you kind of look wizardish too. I think the wizardy look. So you guys will be able to show us your stuff tomorrow when we get into the more technological sessions. But I want to know how you're approaching sales. I think a big portion of this conference has been about selling us as home performance professionals and just how we talk when we are in a sales mindset, and just everything is really selling yourself. All kinds of communication can really boil down into that simple statement. But what are you doing to make your business successful? I guess what are you doing to make your business successful?
Well, we try to get in front of a lot of people. So we use a lot of different channels to do that. Social media, our own newsletter, working with conferences like this, doing a lot of presentations, trade shows, article writing, and we're hoping we can catch someone's eye with what we sell and the way we do it. Our webinars and things like that. So we just kind of keep on giving with the faith that the customers will give back and honor us with their business. And sort of like what Colin was saying, I mean, what he described to me sounded like what's called a platform product, a product that you can build a lot of different things off of. And we try to do that with our marketing message, which is mainly training and education. So I try to make sure that everybody involved at our company knows that we have this bit of information that we can spread in this direction, in this direction, in this direction, so that we're getting the highest leverage out of the efforts that we put in. So in a way, marketing is our product, and we try to create a platform where we can reuse and repurpose the information, the training information that we add to the product sales.
And are you focused solely on the home performance industry, or are you out looking for possible other uses for the products that you're selling?
Home performance and HVAC are our two mainstays, but we do have, we're dabbling more in the commercial market, but things more like in commercial energy use, say like in compressed air quality, compressed air leakage in factories, large building energy losses with thermal and electrical, things like that. So it still sort of hovers around energy conversion in commercial and industrial applications.
So still focused on the technology, but hoping to...
Yeah, we sort of stick to the measurement aspect of things. Want to consider ourselves, quote unquote measurement experts, and the things that we sell we either become or are experts in. An expert in the sense that we differentiate ourselves from the other people that are selling it. And we don't sell any equipment, any installed equipment, that kind of thing, or replaceable, consumable things. Although I have entered into a partnership with somebody who does do that for the HVAC market, some installed equipment. So I'm working on another brand right now too.
So you said you establish yourself as an expert, or the people in your company try and do that in order to sell what you're using, and you use webinars and things like that. What's a typical webinar look like? Who's your audience?
It would be either contractors, HVAC contractors, or building performance professionals, some home inspectors, some utility personnel, and what they come to learn. We talk about making measurement science work as our tagline. So we try to understand the science and translate it into the application and make sure they're applying the products correctly. They know the limitations. They know what information they can get out, and then in some sense know what to do with that information. So kind of fill in all the dots around it. And really, it sounds like, oh wow, you guys are doing all this great stuff. A lot of times it ends up we just read the manufacturer's information. Because a lot of people don't read it anymore. I hope Colin's chuckling right now, because a lot of companies like his do a tremendous job putting it all out there, and nobody stops to read it. They want somebody to read them a bedtime story. So a lot of times that's what the webinars are built off of. We add our own flair to what the manufacturers are already creating, or the technological information that's out there through other magazines and articles and literature and books and things like that, and we'll just roll it all together in our own way and tell people a story.
I can relate to that. I know we have people using our products that are not reading directions, and we've gone to videos the same way.
Yes.
Visual interpretation of the directions, and people seem to get it a little bit better. Say you mentioned limitations of some of the products you're using. Colin, your stuff, you're bragging about how fast that stuff spins. What's the biggest thing that you've ever depressurized?
Well, I wasn't personally involved in this. I don't really do that many tests, but we did do a test in Germany that had was it 65 blower doors, but not regular, like 1.5 horsepower blower doors. And the thing is, in Europe, a house testing blower door only puts out about 4,000 CFM. These put out 8. So that would be the equivalent of like a lot of house testing blower doors, and they were all running
Very
together.
quantified there, a lot. Yeah.
A lot, yeah. What was cool is this is all done by infrared people that seem to be jumping onto this. And there's so many blower doors running, and there's so much noise there, like it's deafening, that you can't actually tell if some of them are running or not. So they'd scan them with their infrared camera and spot the cold ones and go in and fiddle with the connections.
Well, I think we're getting pretty close to time on here. So, Bill, I want to get this question in here. What is the most badass thing you've ever done?
Personally or professionally?
Yeah.
Personally or professionally, either way.
You can go either way. You're not at this conference. You're a fun guy to have at these conferences. And I think people are missing out by not getting to talk to you both personally and professionally. So, sky's the limit.
Speaking of this guy, it was on an Alaskan trip where I took the mile-long zip line ride at Hoona Island. The elevation drop of about 1,700 feet, reach speeds of about 60 miles an hour, just flying down a line. I'm afraid of heights.
I hasten to ask it. Is that how you lost your hair, Bill?
No, that's how I lost the toupee.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Colin, I understand you live on a houseboat.
No, it's a boat. It's a power boat. Yeah,
That sounds much more manly than houseboat. Okay. All right. Power boat. You live on a power boat?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's kind of the ideal kind of small environment, minimalistic. Even though when I moved on, I put a bunch of my stuff in storage. It was 15 years ago. I haven't looked at it, and I realized living on a boat how little I really need. Like I take a tiny little backpack with me when I go on a trip, and it's always like how light, how small can I get? So I have my own sewage system, my own water. I used to have my own water treatment plant, but I threw it away. And I have my own system for everything. I get heat, I got a boiler, I've got electric heat, I've got everything on there. So I'm actually living in a myriad of systems. And I had my hot water heater break down about 2 years ago, and I've actually gone for the last 2 years without any hot water. And actually, after a while, it doesn't really make any difference. It really doesn't. Except the dishes. The dishes come out a little greasy. Well, we have showers in the lounge, so for that. But
what have you done from an energy efficiency and health and safety standpoint for your power boat home?
Well, I did look at insulating it, and I've got a horrible, horrible problem. What I do when I leave, I just turn everything off. And I have 3,000 watts of heat in a tiny little room, the main lounge. I come on, turn it all on. 20 minutes, it's warm, and I'm good to go. Turn it all off at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm done.
Small house principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill, when you moved into your new house, then what's the top thing on your hit list for health and safety or energy efficiency?
We didn't put anything in the attic until we had a blower door test run on the house, and then we determined, as we suspected, that the attic connection to the house was pretty significant. So we had the attic air sealed, and then a R49 total insulation put in, built up the decking, fixed all the can lights, all the chases, everything was fixed up there, and changed the pressure differential during the blower door test from 40.5 pascals. With a house at 50, the attic was 40.5. We got it down to 47.5. So it's not perfect, but it was a heck of a lot better.
Nice. And did you do that before actually signing the paperwork to purchase the house? Did you have that blower door test done to use it as leverage and turn the screws?
No. It was the house. It was actually a house swap. We bought our niece's house and she bought our house. We were downsizing, like Colin, going towards the minimal thing. So we were downsizing with kids going away and stuff. And she bought our bigger house. We bought her smaller house. But it was built in 1980, so I knew darn well it has issues. So we're just doing phase one was the attic. Our energy guy will be back probably next month to look at phases 2 and 3.
Cool. Well, Bill, are you prepared to come back tomorrow?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it'd be like 1 o'clock. Is that right? 1 p.m.
Yes.
Mountain time. Yeah.
Yep.
Mountain?
Yeah. So I believe Mountain Time on that one.
1 o'clock Mountain Time.
1 o'clock Mountain Time. So we'll see you back then. I think everybody is looking at the beautiful day outside and they're ready to head out and do something else.
I was a little fearful that Yellowstone might have exploded, and that's why I lost the connection before. But I'm really super glad to see you all there again.
It's going to happen eventually. Luckily, we will all die who live here very quickly. You will have a slow, choking death.
Thank you for that blessing.
All right. Great. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Bill. Cool.